of the Oyster. It is January the 11th, 2017, and we are now living in, once again, one of those beautiful times as we are waking again beautifully to the fruition of who we actually are as wonderful, brilliant galactic citizens here upon this Earth, was just this one marvelous part of the cosmos that we live in, and that has been known for hundreds and thousands of years by our wonderful brethren who have been with us here all the time, known as our elder brothers. Now, the exciting thing about this particular episode is it is truly capable of fully crystallizing what we're actually able to do, what we're actually able to comprehend, what we're actually be able to use as our tools of imagination to create at a faster rate, an accelerated rate that's beneficial, with actual, laws of nature that actually allow us to have, in a sense, the laws of nature on our side. Meaning, consciousness in itself supersedes physics, and that is something that our science is, and our physics and our scientists are, quote, recently discovering, unquote. That's been known for a while. But the main point is the fact that, yes, of course, these wonderful technologies with the actual field that we live in can be tapped into, and that this field, with the multiple different, scientific studies of how our thoughts actually generate magnetic energy and magnetic pulls, and how our cells create actual retractions, and how, our photons can actually, or our cells, generate energy from photons, and blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to skip all the quantum physicsness of it, just to get to the point where we are ultimately living in that state. And I'm just going to go straight to the point and just say, yeah, we are living in a renaissance. And that means it's not just about, instantly we can wake up to it. It's more about, how we can not only allow our being to be inputted into it, but how we can allow our actuality in terms of our imagination and our reality to be put into it as well. Now, what in the world does that mean? A wonderful, really exciting thing is, ultimately, it's just when you, for example, when you work hard, you get, the saying goes, when you work hard, you get a lot in return. The fact of the matter is, there's going to be so much prosperity generated where it's just something that's just absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, we are basically going to have a Silk Road that is just such a road paid for so much spice, so much wealth, so much prosperity, so much culture, so much just the road itself, basically, that Silk Road, per se, will be a type of gateway, a type of path in itself. Now, that is something that we can, in a sense, create. But, in a sense, we don't really need to create it because it's already been made. So where am I going with this? Tunnels. Let's just call it a super tunnel, because that's a very easy term to catch on to. Subterranean tunnels have been underneath the United States, underneath other cities, continents, for a very long time. They've existed there. And, of course, it's been, the knowledge of those tunnels have been made aware and have been known for a very long time. The exciting thing about this, which is to be used positively, is the fact that with just these tunnels alone, which lead, just allow us to know many wonderful things about the crystal cities, and the crystal caverns, or just the massive caverns that exist in our hollow part of the earth. It just gets us to realize we have so much space to do so many more things. And so and once again, it's instant elimination of that of the question of overpopulation, that is definitely not an issue. The entire, 10 billion people can fit inside the hollow earth, and there'd still be room left over. There's plenty of space. So now the exciting thing is how we can create with that space. Of course, we can put in, the same houses and homes and structures and all the old-fashioned facets that we had for so long, or we can, start to integrate with, our elder brothers, with our family, with our star family, with our basically galactic family who are very spiritually advanced, who have been advanced technologically, and who can help lead us or help, be with us ultimately, like a family member would. So, very, very spectacular in the fact that we can live in a cavern, wow, that sounds very interesting when I say that, but it's no different than saying, oh, well, we can live in a society where welfare takes all of our wealth. What do you know? No, it's we can live in a cavern and we can have absolute abundance, and we can use the free market of ideas to promote what we're going to do when we get there. And that's the wonderful thing about this year, which is of mastery, is we can consolidate all of these wonderful free market ideas in 1 year. And it ultimately, of course, once again promotes independence, individualism, liberty, and freedom. Freedom to go for your ideas, the freedom to allow you to accelerate your own potential and what you want to do as a human being, you alone, and what you want to do for your family, what you want to do for your community, your county, what you want to do for your country, and ultimately what you want to do for planet Earth. Obviously, that's what we want to do for planet Earth, provide an area where we can confidently and comfortably live, more comfortably and more confidently than we've ever lived, ever. So, next part of that segues ultimately into how are we going to view our culture? Like, what makes up our culture? It's music, it's food, it's clothing, it's our style, it's what we like to do, it's what we spend our time doing, it's what we like to learn, it's what we spend our time and hobbying, or what we spend our time hobbying, and what we, ultimately, to make it, to simplify it very much. As we grew up, of course, things changed. We don't necessarily play with rock'em sock'em robots anymore, and per se, as an example. And it's going to be the same parallel. We're not going to just be staying on this earth, and just hanging out with kids at the playground like we used to. No, we'll be, more interested in visiting other planets and interacting with the cultures and the life amongst the rest of the stars, the rest of the galaxy, and the rest of the galaxies. That's going to be commonplace. It's just going to be, oh, I'm going to go walk to Susie's house. She's a neighbor. She's right over there up the hill. No, it's more like hey, hey Dad, I'm going to go over to Phobos, or however you pronounce that. Mars's moon. I'm going to go to Saturn's moon, and I'm going to be back for dinner. Is that okay? And we'll say, oh, well, do you have your spaceship license? I hope we don't have a spaceship license. I don't want to limit our freedom that much. And see, that's the thing. Like, how much do you limit the freedom of what the potential of humanity is going to be? I hope we don't, because it's just going to be, easily fixed. It's pretty obvious. Teenagers are going to complain about how their continent of friends gets to go over to Pluto and Uranus in March, and then how the rest of, or just that teenager, that son, or that child of yours doesn't get to go because he said he doesn't have his starship license yet. You should. But that's a whole nother debate. That's like questioning, should you spank your kids or should you not spank your kids? That's already been ultimately spoken about and has a solution for it. And it ultimately has its main conclusion, which develops maturity. Anyway, that is it's an easy segue. The lessons that we learned, now we can allow those lessons to be learned into how we can increase and ultimately really view, for example, parenthood, politics, economics in a new light. Now, of course, with all this prosperity and the ability to be able to basically get whatever you want, there's not going to be a need for, if you have something like a replicator, you're not going to have a need for the same things that we usually used to have to trade for, like in the Silk Road. This Silk Road is not necessarily something it's like a road that you travel to get from one location to the next. In a sense, it's like we have basically, we are allowing precursor engineering to come to the forefront, and that's what 2017 is allowing us to do. How well are we going to be able to use this precursor engineering? And that's the exciting thing. Actually, I'm very excited about it. I'm very thrilled and very positive about this wonderful, exciting turn of events. But, this has been ultimately, in a sense, in our awareness, in a sense, in our knowledge and in our grasps for a very long time. And, in a sense, all you kind of have to do is just reach out for it and get it. When you're reaching for something, it's not that hard to reach for. And when you the saying, reach for the stars if you miss you'll land, or shoot for the moon if you miss you'll land among the stars. I mean, oh goodness, where do I even start with that? I mean, the structures that are on the moon are beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Glass structures that have been there for a very, very long time. I want to, perhaps even model some of our future agriculture, both on the moon and on Earth, off of the moon structures that are there. And of course, the type of architecture with starship travel, with spaceship travel, spacecraft, that will be really beautiful and a whole new wonderful industry in itself. Of course, the industry of precursor engineering, whether it's in recreation or education or sports. I mean, there's countless uses for that. And so that exciting part of life is really opening up a whole new door to a whole new vision, in a sense. And of course, this vision has always been in existence, but now we have, in a sense, to quantify it, we have the players, we have the team, we have the coaches, and I just break it down this way so we can fully, hopefully accelerate this positive process. We can allow this to happen in a very accelerated rate. And so I am happy for you, of course, and I'm excited and ecstatic, and I definitely appreciate your support. Of course, have always been here and always have been here. And of course, with great love and wisdom, we move forth in what we are to move on into. So that is the end of this part of this transmission. Once again, I thank you for your support. And we are, of course, going to go to the stars and back and to the stars and back, because that's just a wonderful way to live. And that's the way everybody should live, without having been restricted to non-existent restrictions. That is it. Take care. Love you.